And we are live. I'll go ahead and call to order the regular meeting of the City Council for May 1st, 2023. I heard from Councilmember Holt, and he will not be able to attend this evening. Other than that, it looks like all present and accounted for. With that, I will lead us in invocation and pledge of allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to come together and do the people's business. Lord, I pray that you grant us wisdom as we seek to do what is in the best interest of our community. Lord, I ask for a special shield of protection around the men and women in uniform who protect us and keep Maumelle safe. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, that brings us to approval of the minutes. You all have received a copy of the April 17th regular meeting minutes in the council packet. Got a motion and a second to approve the minutes of April 17th. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes. Yes. All opposed, no. Motion carries. We will move on to public comment. I have one public comment card from Kathy and Jim Miller. If y'all want to come on down, state your name and address for the record, and y'all have 3 minutes.
Okay. I'm Kathy Miller.
Jim Miller.
We live at 165 Mountain Valley Drive, Maumelle Valley Estates. And our concern is we're having serious water drainage off the Phase 19 development. Our house is located at the very bottom of that hill. Do I pull it up? Can't hear you. Oh, can't hear you. Closer? Okay, sorry. Anyway, we're having serious water drainage from the hillside. Our house is at the very bottom of that slope. And I know culverts have been put in place, but we've lived at this house for 13 years. For 12 years, we had no water issues. I mean, it was fine. There were 2 sources of water flow, one a horizontal kind of creek that went left to right, one was a vertical flow down the hillside, and they all went into a culvert that went out to the street. Now we have those 2 flows, and which are increased because of the trees have been cut at the top. But also we have drainage from a culvert that, if you're looking up the hillside, is about at a 2 o'clock position. That drains into this main culvert as well. What happens during a serious heavy rainstorm is that culvert gets overflowed. And about 5 or 6 weeks ago, we had a heavy rainstorm on a Friday evening. I was out in the thunderstorm taking videos and have some pretty dramatic video. It just gets overflowing, and it pumps back out. Even though there's not a heavy rainstorm, like this Saturday morning, we had like a medium rainstorm at, 9 o'clock in the morning, something like that. A lot of the water from that 2 o'clock position is coming down and going around the culvert. So it's not getting captured in the culvert, it's going around it. And then it flows down a slope towards our backyard, which is 5 feet probably from the culvert. There's some temporary measures that are in place, kind of bales of hay and that black tarping paper that they stake down. That mitigates the flow and it slows it down, but it pools there. And then it goes through that and then pools right up next to our fence. And then goes through our fence, washes through the shrub bed, washes the mulch, washes the topsoil, everything through the yard, and it exits at what would be the front side yard fence into our neighbor's yard. Yeah. So what we're requesting is, would you consider putting a berm, a natural berm, behind that culvert, just a small rise of soil that would, because that's what our neighbors have, and that's what keeps their property from getting this water flow. If there was a small berm behind that culvert that would extend about 10 feet, like a semicircle, it would keep the water flow that either comes out of it when it overflows or goes around it when it's not even filled. It would keep that water on the uphill side of the slope.
Yeah, everything was fine until the builder built that other culvert and diverted additional water over there. So I say 99 or 90% of the water coming off that hill now comes right behind our house. So we're just asking for a berm to be built to control that water behind the overflow of that culvert.
It's been a pretty consistent problem since January. During the summer, last summer, it was a drought, so we didn't have the rain and we didn't notice anything. But then, boy, during the winter, it really impacted us. And it's to the point now of we don't know what else to do to keep the water out. And it just continually washes washes through. And we do have, I've got photos and videos if anybody wants to see it, if anybody would like to come out. I know Mr. Gardner has come out and walked the area with us. He's aware of the problem. And I've been working with Scott Grummer and
Now the culvert's blocked up.
oh, we did walk up there, just, I was telling Chad earlier, we walked up to that culvert, the one that's at the 2 o'clock position. The intake flows, has like a window, it almost looks like a, what do you call the World War II? But anyway, the intake flows, yeah, are blocked with mud and, rocks and debris. So I don't know who that needs to go to, but they need to know, because that culvert's non-functioning now, so the water essentially goes around it.
Okay.
Any questions?
Were there any questions?
We would just like to have it considered, to put that now. We feel like it'd be a low cost, low labor intensive, that would be a more permanent solution, and then we wouldn't have to worry every time it rains is what's flooding back there.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. Scott is back there shaking his head, yes,
okay.
when you said that you had been talking with him, so
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll relay more information to me, because drainage has been his passion. I'm not sure if that's the right word. Obsession, frustration, all of the above. So, thank y'all.
Okay.
I do have from Council Member Mosley.
Yeah, my question got answered. I wanted to check, make sure they'd gotten a hold of Scott Grummer.
All right. Next order of business is, speaking of Scott Grummer, we'll move on to department reports, and it'll be planning and permits. Mr. Grummer?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just, sitting back there, realized that my throat is scratchy, so I'm probably gonna be clearing it quite a bit while I'm sitting up there. I should have brought some water, but that's some ill thinking of myself. Would you like me to show you on the screen anything, or just talk to you what I've got here?
Whatever you'd like, sir. The floor is yours.
I can show you pretty stuff, or I can just talk you through the numbers if you want to get through it really quick. So basically, what I wanted to do is share a little bit. The Mayor wanted me to give the report for planning permits and code enforcement. It's quite a bit to go through to give you a full report on all divisions, but I just thought I'd give you some simple highlights, some things that you'd be interested in. First off, just kind of recapping where we've been for the last 4 months through April compared to last year. In 2022, we had year-to-date $127,468 in revenue through the permits department. This year to date, we've got $76,145, so you can see it's a significant change. But where that change has happened is you've got last year, mechanical permits were our number one permit, which was 43% of our revenue. This year, our number one is residential building permits, which is about 33.9%. We had a lot of commercial activity last year. TLC, TSC, anyway, Tractor Supply Company, accounted for some of that. We also had a lot of commercial and industrial remodels within the industrial park that added to a lot of our activity. And then, so our commercial building permits was number 3 last year. This year, right now, it's about 10th in place. So residential building permits is first this year. Excavation, something notable, last year we increased our fees for excavation permits in the city because of the activity that was coming through with AT&T, Comcast, Fidelity, a lot of the telecoms that were putting in new installations around the city. Because of the impact it was having on our department, with the technology that we had to create to keep up with it, which by the way is doing a phenomenal job, and we're able to satisfy the residents' needs as it comes up. Last year to date, excavations were around $725. This year to date, it's $18,740. So kind of shows you how we're now recouping some of those costs back into our department, which is significant. So with that, on your residential building permits, last year to date, we had $51,847. This year it's $25,778. We're having some slight changes in our housing stock that's coming through. So last year, our mean square footage was 2,925 square feet, or median, which mostly you look at the median square footage was 2,619. This year it's 1,523. We didn't have a lot of residential building permits at the very first of the year. We had a slow start, but we've opened up Cypress Bend, and I believe 16 of these permits are accounted for through Cypress Bend, which you're seeing a more smaller housing stock. It's going to be more comparable to workforce development, and it's offering up a whole new opportunities for residents in the city. And then lastly, just kind of comparison to date, total number of permits was 511 in 2022 to date, and 2023 we're up to 821. So we're processing a lot more permits this year. So there's actually a lot of activity going on. We're really excited. With our subdivision, you'll see two items coming up tonight. One of them is First Service Bank is coming to you with a development plan, if I saw that on the agenda, a resolution for approval of that. And the other one is the Chick-fil-A for Canopy that they've been working hard for the last year trying to get that. Otherwise, subdivisions is tracking pretty good, and then code enforcement is staying pretty busy as well. Lastly, I'd kind of like to share with you from a drainage standpoint. I think that's been a very important thing since I believe I came into the city working in the mayor's office. I think we were successful in getting drainage projects and impacts that are on residences taken care of. If y'all remember Maumelle Valley Estates Phase 18, there were impacts coming there, and we, the developer, ended up putting an additional over $30,000 of improvements to improve that. But despite that, we're still having impacts. What we're trying to do today is, with our new subdivisions, is making sure that we're accounting for not just the 25-year flow in the underground systems, which used to be 10-year. Now we've upped it to 25 thanks to ordinance the mayor pushed through, but also flowage for above ground water. And that's what the Millers had spoken here, is how are you accommodating that 100-year flowage path? So a lot of these subdivisions were already built. Their houses were already built and in place before these other phases came up above it. So some of those pathways are not very effective. So in this subdivision, phase 19, for instance, we had them make modifications as we went along through the engineering process, because their detention was across the way in the bayou per se. So either way, specific to theirs, we have been working together. We've gotten the developer back out there, and some of the provisions that they've requested we've actually discussed, and they put some temporary silt fencing up to act like that to see how it works before they start making any earth movements. But ultimately, the developer has been very helpful. So the mayor has requested that we come up with a policy that we can look at some of these things around the city. And one of the things that I'm looking at trying to do is categorize the impacts. We have many different areas of the city that are impacted differently. Some of the impacts are an individual home, and is that individual home being impacted by a larger area or a small area? So categorizing the amount of water coming, and then also what we're visibly seeing the impact on their property. So at this time, we're working through developing those policies. We're excited about it, and hopefully whenever we put it together, it'll give us more marching orders on how we can move forward with further improvements around the city with drainage. Any questions?
Thank you. Yeah. go
I'm
on.
sorry, I missed one thing. As part of our initiative for helping residents understand how they can manage water on their property, because what we need is the help of residents. And when water comes, I've got water that comes to my property, and I'm actually going to be doing some demonstration projects on my own property. But before that, we have two demonstration projects that are going to happen here in the city. One's going to be on May 23rd. It's going to be a rain garden demonstration here at Lake Valencia. It's going to be from 4 to 6 p.m., and it'll be right behind City Hall. So that's May 23rd. It's going to help you understand how you can build a rain garden, which can help mitigate some of the water that comes to your property, filter it, and move it on. And then the second one will be May 24th, and that rain garden demonstration will be at Lake Willestein behind Audubon Point, and that too will be from 4 to 6. We have our environmental folks from GBMAC, or used to be GBMAC, it's called something else now. They're managing the process. It's coming out of a grant that we have for White Oak Bayou, and it's a demonstration to help the citizens and help the city relay some of these stormwater strategies.
What was the second date?
May 24th. They're back-to-back, Tuesday and a Wednesday, from 4 to 6, and one at Lake Willestein, one at Lake Valencia, located to where people on the pathways can see them, and we can advertise them.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Mosley?
Yeah, I just wanted to say it's been a pleasure to work with you all this time, and I'm looking forward to working with you a lot more. I appreciate your thoughtful approach to drainage. You know, we've had a situation there in Country Club, and you went out of your way to make sure you'd overturned every rock to see if there was some way to fix that. And I appreciate that, and I think the residents do too. So thank you.
Any additional questions? Thank you, Mr. Grummer. With that, we will move on to Planning Commission review. Councilmember Mosley?
Yes, sir. We had Planning Commission meeting, I guess, last Thursday. Planning Commission had three things in front of them. The first one was First Service Bank. First Service Bank is going to come into Maumelle, it looks like, if we pass this tonight. There's a proposed preliminary development plan, and that was passed with a due pass recommendation to the City Council. They also passed a landscape plan and a building design, which did not come to us. That was an interesting project. There was quite a bit of discussion about the roundabout, because this bank is going to be built between the new roundabout out there on White Oak and the service station that's next door. And so there was they had some challenges as far as having entrances and exits, and had to get with the engineers for the roundabout and make sure everything looked good. But anyway, that passed, and it's coming to us tonight. The other new business was Chick-fil-A. They're going to get, if we pass it tonight, a canopy structure that will be through their drive-through. That was, they had to have a couple of variances by the Planning Commission. One of them to waive the 50-foot setback from Maumelle Boulevard, and then there was also 3 parking spaces below the minimum when this canopy would put in, and so they passed both of those. So anyway, that's a recommendation. And then they also discussed a public notification requirement. This is something that was brought up by Pat Landis, I guess, a couple of months ago, and before she resigned. And they've talked about what they could do to improve public notification at the last couple of city council or past subcommittee meetings. And so this planning meeting, they went ahead and announced that they're going to go ahead and proceed with an ordinance, and they solicited public input, and so they got a little political public input that night. And anyway, so eventually it looks like we'll get a ordinance to expand public notification. So that looks like about it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With that, we will move on to a procedural motion. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to have ordinances and resolutions read by title only.
Second.
Got motions and seconds. Any discussion on those motions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. We'll move on to unfinished business. The first item of unfinished business is the second reading of ordinance 1089 regarding health benefits. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
Be it enacted by the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 1089, an ordinance concerning health benefits for certain retired city employees and officials.
I'll go ahead and open the floor for any discussion. Seeing none, this will be on third reading at the next city council meeting. That concludes unfinished business. We'll move on to new business. The first item of new business is Resolution 2023-16, approving a preliminary development plan. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, a resolution to be entitled Resolution Number 2023-16, a resolution approving the preliminary development plan for First Security Bank, 8901 White Oak Crossing.
Thank you. Mr. Andrews, would you like to come on down?
Actually got Roy Andrews, 3 Monarch Drive. Actually like to have the applicant speak to the council.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, Mr. Mayor and council members and other city officials. Just for the record, that's First Service Bank, not First Security Bank.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Okay, yeah, the resolution does say First Service Bank.
Perfect, perfect. Y'all, we're not.
If you could just please state your name for the record, sir.
I'm sorry. Tom Grumbles, First Service Bank, President, CEO. Usually tell everybody I do whatever nobody else wants to do. So, anyway, we're new to Maumelle, so we thought it might be good to tell you a little bit about how we started out and how we got here. We're about 61 years old. We celebrate our 61st anniversary this week. Started out in a small town in southeast Arkansas, Dermott, Arkansas, back when there was usually one bank in all those small towns, and the needs of what I call Middle America were left out. So we formed a bank. I wasn't there in 1962. I wasn't not quite that old, but anyway, we formed a bank to handle Middle America, and we did that well. I ended up there after college and working in the bank in Little Rock, but we're pretty much an agri bank at that time, and y'all know, some of you know, the agri economy kind of didn't have as many people, it was more mechanized, and so branch banking laws changed in 1999, January 1, 99, to branch across state county lines. So we branched out to take our brand of banking to another part of the state. And at the time, a lot of people were going to banks were going to Northwest Arkansas. We still wanted to serve Middle America, so we headquartered and moved our headquarters to Greenbrier, just right outside of Conway in Faulkner County. And I won't bore you with all the numbers, but we opened January 1 of 1999 in Clinton, Arkansas, and Greenbrier, Arkansas, and we did open on January 1, and Arkansas Razorbacks lost to Michigan that day. Y'all remember that. But anyway, we're pretty much we're pretty much a family-owned bank. We have 10 locations in nine cities. The closest to here, we got a location in Little Rock, 2 in Conway, and of course in Greenbrier, and we fly big American flag. If y'all been by any of our locations, you get off the Big Rock interchange in Little Rock going toward Embassy Suites. If you've seen that big American flag, that's us there. We have a lot of customers in Maumelle. We've been involved in a lot of your development here, and they've asked us to come to Maumelle. We really appreciate the opportunity to come to Maumelle. My son, who's our CFO and chief IT officer, I finally pried him away from corporate Walmart in Bentonville and got him involved. Lives in Maumelle and his family, so he's ecstatic that we're coming to Maumelle. People say, well, why aren't you up on the, Highway 100? Why aren't you on the boulevard? We don't want to be on the boulevard. We want it to be where the people are, where the rooftops are. So if y'all approve this tonight, we're closing on that property that Mr. Mosley identified between your roundabout, and that's a super idea, your roundabout there between Country Club and White Oak and that Shell station. We were concerned about how our customers could get in and out there, and the Planning Commission worked real well with Roy and the other folks to make that palatable. We have we have 119 employees at our locations. We've got 2 or 3 openings right now. Of course, we will be staffing up our Maumelle office. We'd like to find a location that we can temporarily open sometime later this summer and go ahead and get started. We have a super team of associates. We were voted the last 3 years by Arkansas Business as one of the best places to work in Arkansas. A little bit about our size. We're not the biggest. We're not the smallest. Year-end numbers, we were probably 28th or 29th in 83 banks in Arkansas in size. Some of you that keep up with numbers, when we moved our charter out of Dermot, we were $36 million bank in total assets. We closed the month yesterday at $602 million in assets. We service $630 million worth of loans, with about $480 million of them on our books. Our secondary mortgage department, we're real proud of that. The last 3 years, we were 13th, 12th, and 12th in the state out of those 83 banks making secondary mortgage loans. Some of you met my daughter, Robin Hackett, at the Planning Commission. She's at another meeting tonight, and couldn't be here, so she probably could talk better than I can, but she's been with the bank about 14 years, and she's our Chief Operating Officer and Chief Secondary Mortgage Officer. So it's pretty much a family-run organization. We pride ourselves in making decisions quickly, and our bank is very highly rated by the regulators. Our loan quality is impeccable, but we like to find a way to do something, not find a way to not do something. And as one of our market presidents coined the phrase one time, that we have Star Trek technology and Gomer Pyle service. So we try to take care of everybody, and i.e. we changed our name to Service for a reason. You say, why the big flag? We really are patriotic. We have a foundation that we formed and support called Red, White, and Brave that helps the veterans, and we built a house year before last with Habitat. We do wheelchair ramps and those type things. My other daughter, Rebecca, is chairman of that organization, and we match dollar for dollar everything that we get in contributions to a Red, White, and Brave foundation. And the administration expenses of that organization and our board that we have are fully paid for by the bank. They don't come out of donations. So I'm sure y'all ready for me to hush and let Roy talk, but we really appreciate the opportunity to come and be part of y'all's community and give back to your community like we give back to other communities that we're in. be glad to answer any questions that any of you have, now or after Roy, presents. I did bring, I didn't know whether y'all had copies, but I did bring the, site plan and, the building, drawing and, the landscape deal. And yes, we will put a big flag that is gonna be unique. When you come in from White Oak, you'll be able to see the flag and it'll be silhouetted against the mountain. So I think it's gonna be pretty sitting there. And, it's 40 by 60, and, it's on a 125-foot pole, I think. So it'll be, we tell people, when they come into town, just go to the bank under the big flag. And so that's sort of our trademark type deal. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to adopt.
So moved.
I've got a motion and a second to adopt. Did you want to add anything? Councilmember Mazzoni?
Yeah, I was gonna mention that, but, since I have the mic, yeah, Factory flag, I think is awesome in today's world. And what you do for veterans is great, so thank you for that, so.
Councilmember Mosley?
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know, I'm really excited about you all coming in out there. That's part of our ward here, and that's really going to add to that part of town. We appreciate it very much. And if I said the wrong name earlier when I was giving my report, I apologize. I don't know.
Oh, you didn't.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, I've got a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2023-16. Any additional discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much, and welcome to Maumelle. Next item of business is Resolution 2023-17, approving a preliminary development plan amendment for Chick-fil-A. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, a resolution to be entitled Resolution Number 2023-17, a resolution approving the preliminary development plan amendment for Chick-fil-A, 113 Commons Drive.
Mr. City Attorney?
When I was drafting this, I put a typo in here by accident. It should not say preliminary development plan amendment. It should just be development plan amendment. I have that right, Mr. Grummer? Yes. Okay, so I would request that a council member make that motion for me.
I'll make a motion to strike preliminary from the title. Is that good enough, Mr. Attorney?
To strike all the preliminary.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Wherever it says preliminary, I'll make a motion to strike it.
All right, we've got a motion to strike preliminary from 2023-17. Do I hear a second? Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Mr. City Attorney, would that count as a scrivener's error? Do we need to reread the resolution?
We don't need to reread it, no, sir.
Thank you, sir. With that, I'll go ahead and open the floor for any discussion.
Motion to approve resolution 2023-17.
Second.
I've got a motion second to approve Resolution 2023-17. All those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. That'll bring us to new business item C, Resolution 2023-18, to rename the Maumelle Diamond Center Softball Sports Complex. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, a resolution to be entitled Resolution Number 2023-18, a resolution to rename the Maumelle Diamond Center Softball Complex in honor of Mayor Birch Johnson.
Councilmember Williams?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we change in the title softball to sports complex, because there's more than just softball fields out there.
All right, we've got a motion to amend softball to sports complex.
Second.
Motion and second. Does everyone understand that motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Councilmember Williams, this is your resolution. Would you like to introduce it, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the resolution speaks a lot about Birch himself, just in the body of the resolution, but I wanted to bring this to our attention. We've talked about it before, and it kind of got lost and put on the back burner, but I think it's time. We all know Mayor Johnson was Maumell's first elected mayor, and in that role was part of many of the things that make our city great. Mayor Johnson had a love for the game of baseball. In addition to playing the game, he also coached and mentored young people in the sport for most of his life. His impact on people through the sport makes it especially fitting that our Diamond Center bear his name so that we can all remember his contribution to our city and our youth, as well as America's favorite pastime. And I would appreciate this resolution passing tonight for Birch.
Councilmember Mosley?
Yeah, when I first saw this, I thought I was seeing the baseball fields being renamed because that would have been more down Birch's alley, but it looks like that's what you're trying to do, is the whole sports, whole thing? Okay, I'm in on that. Yeah, I remember Birch when he first hit the scene back there, politically. He had been very involved in baseball. He was coaching and everything else, and it seemed like he was sometimes scampering around trying to campaign and coach baseball. So he, a lot of us got involved for the first time out here in Maumelle by coaching or sponsoring baseball or something like that, and he was definitely one of them. So, yeah, I support this. Thank you.
Any additional discussion on Resolution 2023-18? Seeing none, all those, we probably want a motion, though, huh? Did we get a motion? How about would anyone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
I got a motion. Did I hear a second? I heard a second. Councilmember Mazzoni?
That was gonna be
All right. Any discussion on the motion to approve Resolution 2023-18? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion passes. We will get with y'all. We will probably have a event out there when the renaming formally occurs for anyone that would like to attend. With that, we will move on to Resolution 2023-19, amending the 2023 Police and Fire Department budgets. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, a resolution to be entitled Resolution Number 2023-19, a resolution to amend the 2023 Police and Fire budgets.
All right, so as some of y'all know, the eclipse at the beginning of April of next year will put most of Arkansas in the area of totality. What we're trying to do is send a representative from the police department and a representative from the fire department to a training to ensure that Maumelle is best prepared to handle any public safety concerns that may arise. For those that don't know, areas in totality can oftentimes receive massive numbers of people to the area. I heard someone once describe it as your small town, whether you invite people or not, can very quickly turn into a Woodstock type event. We've heard, maybe minus the drugs and concert, but that sort of scenario. We've heard we've heard predictions that it very well may be the case that I-40 is blocked. In other words, you cannot travel westbound on it. We've heard that there may be anywhere from 1 to 2 million people entering the region on that day. All hotels in Maumelle are already booked. You would be hard-pressed to find hotels in areas of totality that are not already booked, and we're almost a year out. We want to ensure that We are sending people, there's a conference in New Mexico and some others in Missouri. We want to learn from what other communities have dealt with. We want to be sure that even though this is a relatively small period of time, that we're able to best be prepared for that. We also will probably be coming to y'all later this year with some budget requests. There's some things that we just need to make sure that we are purchasing because there may not be opportunities to rent them, such as, for example, possibly porta potties. You often can't rent those because the whole region is trying to rent porta potties. So just making sure that we're able to prepare for that, and just a heads up, those will probably be coming later. We're trying to assess what the needs are, which is really difficult. I want to say that the second time we're in totality, we'll be better prepared to identify just how many folks would come, because it could be, we know it's not going to be no one. The hotels are already booked and have been basically since they opened reservations a year out. So we know folks are coming. We don't know how many, and we're doing our best there. But this money is just to send 2 folks to some training from police and fire. So with that, I'll go ahead and open the floor for discussion. Councilmember Mazzoni?
Motion to approve.
We've got a motion to approve and a second. Any additional discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank y'all. Next order of business is Resolution 2023-20, amending the 2023 Sanitation Fund budget. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, a resolution to be entitled Resolution Number 2023-20, a resolution to amend the 2023 sanitation budget.
All right, this is basically from the famous sanitation truck that we received in, and very quickly thereafter was put out of commission when the arm was damaged. We received the insurance money back. This is just putting that money that we received from insurance back into that department. So it's just a housekeeping resolution. But I'll go ahead and open the floor for discussion.
Motion to approve.
I've got a motion second to approve Resolution 2023-20. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. That concludes new business. The only mayor's comments I have are to take a look at the bicycle and put the notices in the FYI section. Bicycle and pedestrian public meeting at the Jess Odom Community Center on May 9th at 5:30. This is part of the Master Bike and Street plan that is being prepared. This meeting is designed to be more of a presentation and lecture, with the room that has some handouts and posters and stuff. Some of their meetings have been open house, come and go. This is one that you'll want to be there roughly at the start if you want to hear the presentation, and then you'll be able to talk with folks afterward. Additionally, there will be an open house at Park on the River on May 16th from 4:30 to 7:30. This is a drop-in, more open house, come and go. The purpose of this meeting will be to have folks get their questions answered about what the Park on the River is, to come in, take a look at it, see what's going on, as well as to solicit feedback and input on how the community thinks this facility could be used. So just wanted to draw your attention to those. And we'll move on to city council member comments. Councilmember Gronwald.
I'll keep this really short, but I have received a phone call. We talked about this a few, maybe 2 meetings ago, where we're starting to get some feedback about some of the animal services fees that we passed for this year. And I did receive another phone call from our ward today, and he brought up specifically about the chipping. If your dog's not chipped, it goes from $5 to I think $20 or $25. It's a pretty big jump. So he wanted to know what the thinking was behind that particular part of that resolution or ordinance, whichever that was, I can't remember. So I just wanted to bring that up because I promised that I would. Between now and our next meeting, I'm going to kind of look into that a little bit more and research it and hopefully, maybe bring back, talk to you, Mr. City Attorney, and see what we need to do. We talked about potentially refunding, which seems like not the best course of action, but I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, and hopefully by the next meeting, I'll have something to propose.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Shin?
I've had a variety of contacts over utility issues. I've had people actually come talk to me about problems with the AT&T tower. And it's like, the more people I mention it to, apparently there's a problem with the tower that services the middle of our community here. I don't know if there's anything we can really address on that, but I said I would bring it up. The Willow Oak Loop area, we've had numerous problems when they came through and put in the fiber optics. They hit multiple lines. Entergy had to come in, and we're there till 1 in the morning replacing a section of line that got damaged. They're still having power problems. They've lost power in that one block 3 times so far this, well, not this month, last month, for 3 to 5 hours at a time. It seems that the problem is still in that same general area where they put in the new line. So I just wanted to make the city aware that we are having some utility problems in that one section.
And that's in the Meadow Ridge?
No, off of Oak Forest Drive.
Okay, yes.
I can't think of the gentleman's last name, Steve, that has sent us all the emails for the last few months over problems with the
And you
the
said
fiber
that
coming in.
the Entergy has been, the electricity has been out multiple times
Multiple
for
times in the
multiple
last
hours?
month for a few hours at a time. Last night it was for 3 hours between 7 and 9, I mean 6 and 9.
Wow.
So
I had my power flicker, but it took 3 seconds, so.
I've been getting notifications, but our power hadn't been out. So it's crow flies 3 blocks from there.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Mosley?
Yeah, I just wanted to throw out some input for our decision on Park on the River as to how to use it. I had mentioned last week that I had talked with North Little Rock, and they have 5 such houses that they handle all the rentals on in-house. And I'd forgotten to ask how much they made off of them, but I called them back, and they said they make it, on one facility, they make as much as $50,000 a year. And then their other 2 highest grossing ones were $35,000 and $25,000. And I think with our contract that we adopted the other day, I think ours is 18. So I think there's a possibility to make more. One thing they do differently is that they don't charge as much, I don't think, for the rentals. I think they were talking about $400 or something like that. So they make it up on volume. And I asked just how much usage there was, and they said basically every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the thing is rented for parties and things, and all the way through the end of the year. And I said, how do you do that? They said, well, usually somebody will have a party, and they turn around, just ask us to keep the deposit and reserve them again for the next year. So she said, we pretty much are booked out all the way through the end of this year. So whatever their model is, it seems to be working for them, so it's something we ought to keep in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Tierney?
Yes, I was wondering if you could give us an update on the roundabout at Odom and Club Enter.
And I've also gotten emails about that too, so I'd like an update as well.
We met with the engineer who I say amusingly, interestingly, today, Manish, who you all know, who was the primary engineer with McClelland, is now moving to, I believe he said he accepted a position with the city of Little Rock. But I believe we last met with them, and they were supposed to be getting back to us with prices on that. And I'm trying to check my email right now. and I'm not seeing anything pop up right now. I'll follow up with that and see where that price is. Any additional council member comments? Councilmember Mosley?
Yeah, I think it was announced in the Planning Commission meeting the other night. Mr. Grummer can shake his head if I'm wrong, but I think they announced that the bid letting will be in 3 weeks for the building of the roundabout there on White Oak. So it appears to be moving along. I'm getting a nod, so apparently that's accurate. Thank you.
Yes. Any additional council member comments? City Attorney Councilmember Shin?
The lawsuit, where do we stand on that?
I don't have an update on the lawsuit. Of course, that is the same roundabout we're talking about, Counts Massey, White Oak Crossing with Country Club Parkway. I'll check with the landowner's attorney. When last I gave you all an update, they withdrew their motion to dismiss. Speaking broadly where we were trying to negotiate, of course, a purchase of it. Our third-party appraisal put the value basically at about a little over $40,000. Through the negotiation process, the city came up to 55, but we weren't able to come to an agreement with the landowners. Speaking frankly, my impression was it's not that the city's not willing to pay more than $40,000. It's that we need an appraisals estimate, or we need some evidence that would support a higher valuation. But paraphrasing what the mayor had said at the council meeting back in December, we just can't spend the taxpayers' money willy-nilly without any kind of justification for it. On that basis, I'm going to reach out to the landowner's attorney and inquire whether they're going to seek an appraisal. If this case went all the way to trial, the law says that we would be required to pay for whatever the cost of their appraisal was. We aren't required to pay for their attorney fees. Some cases of eminent domain, the government entity that's taking it is required to pay for the other side's attorney's fees. That's not the case, but we are required, my reading of the law is that we would be required to pay for their appraisal fees. So from their perspective, there's really no downside to at least getting an appraisal. Because from their perspective, well, they know that the city of Maumelle is going to have to pay for the appraisal in the end. So I'll reach out to them to see where they are in that process. And of course, we'll continue negotiations. I think if they come back with any kind of new counteroffer, we'll bring it back to the council.
All right, city attorney comments? City clerk comments?
No.
At this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes. All opposed, no. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you very much for your service.